This is Ultimate Soccer with Soccer Steve.
Welcome back in again, guys. What an amazing semi-final we had with France and Morocco. I tell you what, the things Ryan and I told you about with Morocco and the France really came through. We're going to touch that in a minute. But what I want you to hoist in is this show is going to touch that semi-final. It's going to touch the World Cup final. And also, I want to hear from you guys. Write down below, comment down below. Who's your golden ball winner? Yeah, the best player of the tournament. Who's your golden boot winner? The top scorer. Who's your golden glove? Best keeper, yeah? All these things we need you to answer down below as we go through the show. So guys, don't be worried about making a comment. Now's the time to make those comments. We're going to also look at FIFA's young player, possibly see who that could be for the tournament. And then finally, the FIFA Fair Play Trophy, which seems to be a bit of a consolation prize, but we'll get to that as we roll through. But let's touch the semi-final. Let's welcome Ryan back in again. Ryan Anderson, TFC Midwest Podcast. Ryan, how you doing? How did you enjoy today's soccer, my friend?
Today was a great match today. Yesterday's match was good as well. Definitely a little bit of levity over the past couple of days, as you can see from the shirt. If you know, you know. But with that being said, two great matches. The Morocco match, they fought their bodies off, they fought their hearts out, and they really deserved to at least get to extra time today with the way they played. It was actually a really refreshing way they played. Got to play some offense. France said, hey, beat us with your stars, beat us with your possibility. We think one's enough. Try to beat us. And Morocco got close, very, very close to winning, at least getting to extra time, if not winning this game. Because the way Morocco played, it was actually refreshing to see them play offense and push the ball forward and actually be able to go forward and play open football. Because they have some great defense, but I've definitely looked at their defense and thought that could be a great system if you actually added that to a gegenpressing system. Basically just ultimate offense with the marauding defense they have. And you basically kind of got to see that today with the way their defense plays. They got to press. Some sort of swashbuckling football, sort of like the soccer version of the air raid, but they didn't get anything out of it.
I love that term, swashbuckling Morocco. I tell you, mate, that is the term. I mean, the second half, when they were going forward, I'm literally on the edge of my seat, waiting, praying for that goal, waiting to get back in that game, because you know what? They were worth it. Like you just said, the swashbuckling offense off a great defense. I mean, you got to say, I don't have a hat to take off, but if I did, it would go to Morocco for the rest of my days, because they have absolutely owned the tournament, won people's hearts, been the biggest ever African advert in world history. Wow, I mean, I could go on and on with the praise. Am I sad that Morocco's out? I really am. Am I more sad that Morocco's out than, per se, England? Yes, I am. Why? Because they gave everything. They weren't stacked with superstars, yet they are now superstars. But they gave everything. And Regragui, the coach, how long do you think it's going to be before someone says, I want you to coach my club team?
It's got to be at least past before 2026. Like, I'd say it's unlikely that he makes it to 2026 with Morocco. I feel like somewhere in Europe, somewhere in MLS could easily use Regragui to move on and even equalize, so to speak, because if there's a Club World Cup and you have MLS in it and you make it, you could easily have the great equalizer, because the way Regragui plays football is exactly the way a lower team, a lower level team like an MLS side or a South American side, if they want world recognition, that's how you do it. The swashbuckling, the strong defense, breaking, counter breaking on a break, it's genius. So if somebody in Europe wants him, I'm sure he could. Regragui seems like a genius to me. I think he's a very smart manager who can build into a European side if need be, take a championship side to mid-table in the Premier League, or maybe he goes somewhere in North America or South America and becomes that great equalizer. But in 2026, whether it's national or club, I just don't see him managing Morocco, especially if Morocco wins the AFCON and has a great early qualifying run. He may be loyal to Morocco, but I definitely think there's going to be that moment where he looks around and says, I can make more money here. I could make a name even bigger from what I've done here somewhere else. It was very much a possibility. I think it would be nice if he stayed till 2026, then made that move. And I think that's probably what he would want to do. But sometimes you can't say no to money. As Ted DiBiase said, everybody's got a price, and
Yeah.
even Reguagui will have a price. So I could say 2 years, maybe 3, maybe after 26, but it's very possible he moves on.
Now, on the scoreline yourself, do you think that was a hard scoreline on Morocco today? Because, like I say, I think they owned the second half. I think they were particularly unlucky in certain phases of the game. But when you look at clinical finishing, I think that is what happened today. And France were clinical with the few chances that they had. And if you looked at face value, you'd say that France came in, offered little, but gained everything by executing when they had to. And that's the only difference that I can find between these teams, because both sets of teams had major endeavor. What do you think?
I think it is a harsh scoreline to take when you're an underdog and you give everything, and you were able to actually play forward and have everything on the table. That first goal really did open up the game for Morocco, and I thought they should have scored right before the end of the first half. I think there was a really big opening there to have it tied into the half. They should have. And from there, I still think this game should have ended 2-2, and then we go on to extra time. That's where we should be right now. The game should have just ended, let alone with a penalty shootout and extra time. But I think it's a little bit harsh because Morocco did everything they could. But yes, it was that clinical finishing from France, that early ball in when the defender sort of came off his man a little bit early when Varane made that switch of play. Then it got to Hernandez. That was not a great defensive move, and that's what kind of hurt Morocco in the end there. That really early defensive breakdown. Defender peels off his guy a bit too early, thinks he could get to the ball first. He doesn't, slips to try to get it back. It just doesn't turn out well. So, yeah, the score line is a little bit not great for Morocco, but I think it's also fair in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look across the board, you look across the tournament, what Morocco's brought, we said they were the working men's team, that they gave lots of effort, lots of work rate. And yes, they had skilly players. I mean, Hakimi's a very skilly defender. Ziyech is a very skilly midfielder come forward. I mean, they had skill across the field, but that work rate was what really got them where they were. And also the injuries that we talked about, Romain Saïss, I said I was worried about him and he comes off after 20 minutes. He's pretty much the general, and we said, yes, they put people in, they take people out, and they still have that level. But after 6 games in short time, it caught up to them. And I think that at the end of the day, you have to say, we love Morocco with our hearts, but France really is the cream of the crop rising to the top. And they're going to be taking on Argentina and Lionel Messi and the crew, or I should say Lionel Messi and the gang, because they too are kind of swashbuckling their way through this now. They had a terrible start with the loss to Saudi, but ever since then, they've come on strong. Now, looking at the final, we'll take a look at the final players. Let's look at Argentina first. It's easy to say that Lionel Messi is going to be the guy to make the difference, but I kind of have a feeling that he probably is, seeing as how he's leading the Golden Boot race. He's leading what you would say the Golden Ball race. He's leading the chance to win the World Cup as well. I mean, is this Messi's time? That's my question.
Yes, it's his time. This is his best tournament that I've ever seen Messi play internationally. Of course, there's a lot of Champions Leagues in there and a lot of other tournaments club-wise that could be better than this. But even then, this is at least top 5 his whole career, maybe top 3. For me, Messi is the Golden Ball winner, even if he loses the World Cup. I still think he wins the Golden Ball because Argentina would not be here if Messi wasn't playing the way he was, because he's done a lot of stuff, assists and goals, to put Argentina to this spot. Alvarez looks like a world-class star because Messi is right next to him, and Messi
100%.
has helped Alvarez score a lot in this game. And that's also why I think Alvarez will be the young player of the tournament, because I think Messi is making Alvarez look like a star, which is a great thing. Man City already has him, sadly behind Erling Haaland. But if Alvarez could take this form and take it into the Premier League, the restart, 2 strikers like Haaland and Alvarez on top on your team, Man City's going to be unbeatable for the foreseeable future. But Alvarez has been a great young player. They don't need Di Maria and Dybala. That's the one thing that's very crazy about Argentina in this tournament, is that Di Maria and Dybala have barely even had a sniff on this team. Of course, Di Maria's been hurt, but he's fit now to come back. Does he play the final is my question, because I don't think he should.
I don't think
I
he
don't
should
think he has
either.
a place. I don't think he has a place in the final. And Dybala, 4 years ago, I would have thought he'd be a big part of this team. He's not. He's been replaced by a Argentinian player with Irish ancestry, Alexis McAllister, which is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. But hey, if you're playing well, it doesn't matter where you're from. You're just playing well on a team. So
You got to love McAllister, man. You've got to love him. I mean, he looks everything either
yeah.
Irish or Scottish. I mean, the red hair, the feistiness. He looks like he's been displaced. But what a fine place he's found in Argentina with his family, going to that national team and being the player he is. I mean, when you talk about a standout performer that really doesn't get the headlines that say your Messi or your Alvarez has recently got, I'm really impressed with McAllister. I mean, I'm so impressed. He's caught my eye in every game. Tucks in beautifully behind the front two, makes things happen, goes left, goes right, can hit you, can get hit, gets up, keeps going. He's the prototypical Argentinian player. They're tough as rocks, but they've got skill to spare. And when you say skill to spare, let's take a look at Lionel Messi. How damaging do you think he's going to be in the final?
This is going to be the biggest game of his life. And I think he knows that. And he's going to put everything on the line. This is going to be the gas tank that he has is going to be on full and maybe even topped off. And he's going to put everything, he's going to empty that gas tank over a 90-minute or 120-minute span, because this could go all the way. This is very likely a match that could go all the way. Messi is going to do everything he can to win this World Cup. Everything he can. So just like he has throughout the tournament, but I think this will be the best performance of a group of best performances.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Messi will be the reason that either he will not be the reason Argentina fail, but if they succeed, he will certainly be the reason they succeed.
So who do you think is going to be like your damage players, apart from Messi on Argentina? Who's going to do the damage on France? And where's the weak spot you feel in that French defense? What's your take?
I would say that when it comes to that French defense, I would still say I'm very weary about Hernandez. Yes, he scored a goal earlier today, but for me, that side is still the more weary side for me. That left side is still the more questionable side. For me, I think the danger players on France, of course, are Mbappe and Giroud. They're up there in that Golden Boot race as well. I think Griezmann has been amazing as a 10. That's honestly the best place for him, is the way he's playing as a number 10 in that French team. It's given him a new lease on life as a player. I don't think he's been playing that well at Atletico, but as a 10, Griezmann has been amazing. With this offensive French team, I think you cannot question Griezmann as well. You cannot underrate him in this team. So biggest danger players, Mbappe, Giroud, Griezmann. I think Hernandez, that left side for France, is going to be the danger area for Argentina. I think they need to really focus on that left side. I think it's harder to get past Koundé than it is Hernandez. And if that center of defense is still reeling from that illness that they were today, where they had to make the changes, could be a little bit of a problem for France.
Now, looking at the French defense, we've covered that. But the goalkeeping, I am still not 100% sure that they've been tested in front of net. They stack up well in the middle of defense, and they block and they cover the passing lanes and they kill you in the half spaces. But we still haven't seen that net tested. Yes, Morocco smashed off the post today and he wasn't close to it. But that goalkeeping, that's my weak spot in that French team. You get that ball in the middle with a super forward, like a power forward who's good in the air, and crash the net like you do in a hockey sense. But I think that they have not been tested in front of net.
I would agree with that. I think Hugo Lloris, he hasn't really had to make many saves this tournament. He hasn't really been tested. For me, when it comes to Lloris, he was tested way more in 2018, but Lloris does have that Spursy gene inside of him, if we're being completely honest. That
Oh, yeah.
Definitely, if he gets tested against a player like Messi or Alvarez, or even if a player like Fernandez comes up, I don't think Argentina really has that power forward, which is the bad part. But if they have chances in the center of the box and they can find a way to, I guess, thread the ball through like a nice scarf, they just thread it through, that would be good for them. And if they could get it in the middle by threading it through with a great cross or a great center, I think Lloris will have some problems. I really do. So I agree with Lloris being a danger area for France as well. I think that's actually a good point.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I've seen all the games. I've watched him closely. I've seen him in the Premier League too. I still don't believe why Tottenham Hotspur have him, because personally, I don't rate Lloris. That might sound crazy as a World Cup winning goalkeeper that you say, Steve, why don't you rate him? But I really don't. I think that he's protected so well. But I think that Argentina may well be the team that breaks that protection, because they have the tools to take them down. And when you have Messi on a great Argentinian team in the build, because this is what we're watching, I think that France is subject to being hit in behind Varane. I think the little ball over the top, or like you said, that beautiful ball threaded through like a silk scarf, I think right in the middle of their defense is the weak spot. And as you saw with Morocco, had they had their shooting boots on, they probably would have forced the 2-2 tie. So I'm looking for Argentina to play a cagey match, the counter-attack game, but the physical element of the game that's going to come on this weekend. I think that France needs to be ready to get the boots kicked out of them, for one, because Argentina is coming for war, and they're going to be going for the throat. And as nice as Messi is when he's on the ball, there's other things he does off the ball, like grip the referee and tell him what's going to happen. If you watch the game closely, Messi is an ambassador. He's a God-gifted player, but he is ultimately the leader that's going to take that cup to Argentina and depose and dethrone the French. That's what I'm saying. What do you think's coming in the final?
I think Argentina, they're the favorite here. After seeing the way both teams have played over the past two games in their quarterfinals and semifinals, I think Argentina are better right now. I think France, they have not played well. They did not play well against England. They let England run their show. They should have honestly lost there. If Harry Kane didn't take that penalty, we'd be speaking a different story. If Morocco scored,
it's coming.
not that, but
nothing's coming home.
But and if Morocco, again, had their shooting boots on, France wouldn't be here. They'd be in third place facing Croatia again. So for me, I think Argentina's been the better team over the past two games. They've showed a lot of heart. They've showed a lot of fight. They showed a lot of toughness in the quarterfinal and semifinal. That France, they sort of just sleepwalk through this. They feel like they're the better team. They feel like they're God-given appointed to be in this final. And I think that's a bad mentality to have. You may be the defending champions, but there's a reason there's the word defending in that title.
Is that arrogance? Is that arrogance going to kill France?
I think so. Because Argentina's ready for war. France is going to be way too arrogant until it's way too late. That's why I say it'll be a 3-1 win for Argentina. I think Argentina hits on the counter 3 times, very quick, like that Croatia game. I would feel like a very quick time per frame to get those 3 goals, and France will have a chance to come back. They will, once they realize, oh, we got to do something, they'll have a chance. And I think that's where that 1 goal comes from, but I don't think they get more than that. I think it's a 3-1 win for Argentina. Might not be the most dominant, but it'll be the toughest.
Crazy way to say this, but the first goal of the game is always the most important game. It's a stupid statement, but it's so factual. This first game in the final, should Argentina get it, I think opens up France like a can of worms, because they're going to have to force the issue that they haven't had to force. Like you indicated, they've sat back, they've got the arrogance, they're expecting everything to come their way. Eventually, a shock happens. It's not going to be a shock. It's not going to be anything but factual, because I think that when you sort of sit back and you get used to sitting back and you let the other team come to you and you don't go for the throat, then when you need to put the hammer down and put the foot down and really give it gas, well, maybe you can't get that engine started. And I think Argentina's engine since Saudi has been at high octane all the way through, and it's coming to the boil. Argentina for me is like a champagne bottle ready to pop. And I got to tell you, it's going to be champagne all over the French, in my opinion. No disrespect to the French. Great world champion over the last 4 years. Really, their record is stellar. And they are, what I would say, good enough to become another World Cup champion. Back-to-back, only the 3rd team in history. Italy did it. Brazil did it. Are France going to be the 3rd team to win it back-to-back? I don't think so, but we're going to find out on Sunday. I'm going to say that I do see a two-goal difference, and I really think that this, as you say, is Lionel Messi's time. It's also people like Di Maria that have hung around and really not got too much international glory. Yes, you can go back to the Copa America and you can say, Steve, there's one. That's one. They need more. This team and this nation of Argentina has been good enough for decades to have won more than it actually has. And we don't just need superstars for Argentina, to make it to the top. My take is this. It's a 2-goal game on the weekend. I'm going to sit and watch the final. Cheeky little question, cheeky little answer. Who are you cheering?
I'm honestly rooting for Argentina. I think this tournament, I've started to really respect Lionel Messi. I'm respecting both Ronaldo and Messi at the same time. I think this World Cup has definitely made me realize that Messi needed Cristiano and Cristiano needed Messi. They both needed to be next to each other on talent. So I really want to see Lionel Messi get that trophy because I really don't like France anyway, to be honest. I never really have. So, I'll go for Lionel here. I'm going for Argentina. I want to see Lionel win his World Cup and go out on a high internationally and still have some good times club-wise, but I'm going Argentina.
Now, it might be a massive. I'm going to root for Argentina. Not that I have anything against the French, but I'm going to root for Argentina purely because I love the way they play. I do love teams that kick the living crap out of you. I love the physical elements. I love the super skill. But what I love about Argentina is the brains. They slow it down. They look around. They smell that coffee. They know what to do every second of the game. It's that game management for me that I fall in love with when I see a team. That's not necessarily down to the coach. That's down to a philosophy of how you play in that country. And what I've seen from Argentina, for my money, is they are good enough to be the new world champions. And I would applaud them highly should they make it. But on that game, there's a lot of awards riding on the game. Let's just say, play devil's advocate. Argentina do win. Then Lionel Messi could be up for Golden Ball, which is pretty much the player of the tournament. It could be up for the Golden Boot if he puts a couple in on the final. On the other side of the equation, Kylian Mbappe, he's at the same level, 5 goals on the tournament. He too is waiting for a great final. So also possibly win the Golden Ball and also possibly win the Golden Boot. And then you've got the goalkeepers in the final. Whoever plays out with a clean sheet is possibly going to win the Golden Glove. So there's so many awards coming down on the final day. I think it's absolutely amazing. The one award I want to talk to you about is sideways. It's a little bit of a bit of fun poking, but the FIFA Fair Play Trophy. You see, England's won that in the past, and I got a hunch they may well be the team to win it again. And the only reason why I think they'll get it is because they were so unceremoniously kicked out of the tournament, not just by the play, somewhat by the officialising too. So maybe there's an award coming England's way. Not to say sorry, but there you go. At least you got something. Now take that home.
For me, I think it also should ride on the way they played on the pitch. Yes, that Sampaio refereeing on the France-England game. I definitely think FIFA could be like, hey, here's a little bit of a consolation because of that. But I do think the third place teams are the ones who really could win that FIFA Fair Play Trophy from what they've done on the pitch. Because Morocco, even though they were a swashbuckling team, I think they followed class to a T. I think they followed fair play to a T, same as Croatia. I think even though they're underdogs, they don't really take any dark arts, so to speak. They may swashbuckle, but I don't think they're really kings of the dark arts. So I could see Morocco or Croatia winning that fair play award as well. But I definitely could see FIFA going a little bit corrupt and saying, hey, here's a little bit of a tap on the head. Sorry about that officiating. England, have it. I could see that, though. I think that's actually a good thought there.
On the officialising, I think in general the officialising has not been as poor as some people may have thought of. Yeah, Sampaio from Brazil was horrendous, that's for sure. The refereeing at the start of this World Cup was not the best. Then it hit a plateau where it started to get decent. We went from 14 minutes added time to eventually the round of 16 coming into the quarterfinals where you saw 1 minute of added time. What the hell was that all about? Secondly, the mid phase, so the second games and third games in group stage, it seems the referees had it together. Round of 16 was very good, but in the quarterfinals, I don't know what kind of draconian rules were implemented through FIFA, but I think that some of the referees maybe didn't do themselves justice. Shall we say that?
I would agree with that. But the thing that gets me about refereeing is the fact that Ismail El Fath has an opportunity to referee the World Cup final, and it isn't completely crazy to say that he has an opportunity, is just an absolute. It's weird because in MLS he's absolutely horrible. But in the World Cup, he's been, besides the Ronaldo penalty, the Portugal-Uruguay game, he's been pretty good, El Fath has, and he's in the conversation to referee the final. I don't think I'd ever...
I remember El Fath in a World Cup game, and I was in the booth doing the game, and he literally shoved one of the players out of his way and was like, ah! And I looked at that, and I thought to myself, what is the referee doing with his hands on a guy? There's also other instances where he's been absolutely too arrogant for his own good, and he's made some horrendous calls. How he ever got to referee a World Cup game is beyond me. I don't hate the guy. I don't despise him. But I look at the level of refereeing. You brought it out. He's horrendous in the MLS. He's all about attitude and arrogance. Well, a referee is supposed to be impartial, number one, and just a conductor of the traffic. He's not supposed to be a personality. He's not supposed to be seen. And the greatest referees in the world, they're invisible. He's so not invisible. And I so hope he does not get that final. The guy from today in the Morocco game is deserving of the final. That's the kind of referee you want in there. The guy that keeps it flowing. The guy that doesn't let the divers get in action. Doesn't let the simulation go too far. He keeps control of it. It was a wonderful game. And that allowed Morocco to keep the ball moving quickly. The guy that wants to whistle every 5 seconds is killing the game. Would you agree?
I would agree with that because we saw it a couple of games ago where we had a referee just whistling every moment of the game, every foul, the Netherlands game. And I'm like, why is that exactly how we're going in this game?
You like that, do you? Hey, I just took that off Ephraim. That's his. I just took it off him. He's not whistling anymore.
But the thing about referees whistling all the time just makes me angry because when you whistle, to me, a great referee, you do not know their name unless you're looking at their name on a FOTMOB sheet or they tell you who it is. If you know who the referee's name is, you're bound for some trouble, like a Mike Dean or Ismail El Fath or anything like that. If you know a referee's name, you're in trouble. You know
when you have to look up a referee during a game because you didn't catch his name at the start, you don't recognize his face, and then you find out, hey, this guy's got some history and he's got some bad history behind him, and he's actually been banned and taken off the FIFA list and then put back on the FIFA list. People, you want to do some research because some of the guys we've talked about today have been banned and have been put back on the FIFA list, and you'll know the name because we've already mentioned it. But I tell you, Ryan, Sunday's game, Saturday's game, whichever game we watch, the loser final or the World Cup final, I'd like to see swashbuckling soccer, great calls, and no use of the VAR. Let's have it run naturally. And I really think that VAR has opened Pandora's box. We're not going to go down that road, but it opened Pandora's box and it's running out of control in certain ways. So I think that let's have a wonderful final. Let's get it for the people. Let's lay your money on there. If you think Argentina's going to win it, put some money on it. If you think France is going to do it, put some money on it. Comment down below. Tell us what you think. But I tell you what, Ryan, I think Sunday we're in for a magical final. And as for those awards that we talked about, the Golden Ball, the Golden Glove, the Golden Boot, FIFA's Best Player, the Fair Play Trophy, those will all be decided very quickly after the final, on the field after the final, so we'll get to see it. But I got to say this much. It's been magic to have you on the Ultimate Soccer Show and talk these games all the way through the group phase, all the way through the round of 16, all the way through the quarterfinals and the semi-finals, and now we're at the final. My question to you is a personal question. Do you feel a little fatigued doing all this work and having so much fun?
I think it's been fun. I'd say I've been a little bit fatigued. I would say it's going to be nice to have a break coming up here for about the rest of the year after the 18th, from the 19th to January 2nd, because Mississippi State plays the ReliaQuest Bowl, plays it in honor of Mike Leach, and I hope they play their hearts out. But it's going to be, because that's where I'm going to be starting back next year, is the ReliaQuest Bowl. And I can't wait for this break because I do feel a little bit zapped, a little bit tired, but it's all about the work we're putting in, and you got to put in the best work.
Absolutely.
And then earn that break. So
absolutely. And we got to say, sadly, 2 journalists have passed away now, and a security guard has also passed away. He was in hospital for 3 days, but he has now passed away. Ms. Lamb, Very sad thing there, and he wasn't even a local in Qatar. So, a little bit of news for you there, people, but we've got to say thank you very much to Ryan for everything that he's brought. We've had amazing fun doing this, guys. I hope you enjoy it. And don't think that we're not going to continue, because Ryan and myself, we're going to move forward and do lots more in the future. But when it comes to Team Canada, Team USA, Mexico, Costa Rica, Costa Ricans are my big friends, my big amigos. Well, the Gold Cup's coming in 2023.
Yeah.
Nations League's coming 2023. So I think we'll have plenty to talk about, Ryan. What do you reckon?
There's going to be a lot of more great videos coming up in 2023. CONCACAF, UEFA, because there's qualifiers, there's Nations League over there as well, Premier League, MLS. We got a lot of things to cover, and we'll be back very soon at the start of the year, the turn of the year, and we'll have some more fun. But hopefully you enjoyed this series, and we got more to go.
Well, buddy,
See you
I
soon.
will be talking to you Sunday evening after the big one. We'll be able to tell everybody what happened. And hey, bring it here, everybody. Hit the like, hit subscribe on both channels, yeah? CFC Midwest Podcast and the Ultimate Soccer Show. Send a love to both you and me. That's Ryan and myself, Soccer Steve. And guys, keep bringing it here, because we do this so you get the insights, you get the knowledge, you also get a little bit of fun. Ryan, thanks again, mate. Cheers.
Happy to be there. Be happy to be here. Cheers, everybody. See you soon.
The Ultimate Soccer Show. Join me. Listen. You'll love it. Everybody does.